How's it going, guys? SoCal Honey Badger, and I have broken down fighting game fundamentals. Yeah, it is gonna hurt, jackass.
It's gonna hurt.
Well, you too. I've broken down fighting game fundamentals into 3 core decisions that you need to make throughout a match, and if you can kind of boil all of the fighting game everything into 3 key decitions, then quite frankly you'll level up very, very fast. We are here in the training airship of GranBlue. I'm going to teach you guys the 3 core fundamentals of fighting games, and hopefully after this video you'll know what you're doing, because it doesn't get any simpler than that. Now, there are 3 core ideas in fighting games. God, is he gonna say that every freaking time? Okay, so the 3 basic decisions you need to make in fighting games, I like to call the Holy Trinity of fighting games. In nomine Patri, et Filii, et Spiritui Sancti. Amen. Not that trilogy, right? Or not that Trinity. But in fighting games, I do call this the Holy Trinity of fighting game fundamentals. And if you break down all of your decisions down to these 3 core choices, everything becomes so simplified. You could just kind of walk through fighting games pretty casually the way I do, and the way most of my players that I've trained have done. And we always reference these 3 ideas when trying to figure out what went wrong in a match. So let's break it down.
It's gonna hurt.
The first idea, or the first choice, is on the 2D plane, right? It's a 2D fighting game. We got the 2D plane. This should give you an idea of where we're going with this, right? Your first option is walk forward. Look at that. Look at him go, right? Your second option would obviously be walking back, but let's go deeper into that, okay? All right? So walking forward, I like to call moving forward, because anything that moves your character that way is considered walking forward or moving forward. That includes walking forward, right, on the 2D plane, but it also includes buttons, right? Look at that button. So you notice how when he does a button, he sticks his hand out in front of him, okay? Moving his hurt box, right? That's the area of his body that can be attacked forward. And this controls the space in front of him. You got bigger buttons, right, that control more space, right? A little bit of space, a lot of space, right? And you can actually hit him during some of those moves. So he's controlling that space, but putting himself at risk. He's moving forward. The most extreme case in this would be like a full-on projectile, right? We throw a fireball all the way across the screen, right? His EX grand, so his fireball doesn't go full screen, right? You got, yeah, that one that goes medium, but you see how in that extreme example, he throws something that moves forward towards his enemy. So that's decision 1. Are we going to advance? Are we going to move forward? This leads us to our second decision in fighting game fundamentals, which is moving backwards, obviously, right? Moving backwards. Now, in 2D fighting games outside of Mortal Kombat, moving backwards serves a dual purpose, right? You get away from your opponent, obviously, but we have a block button here, and I can show you. If you're moving backwards in fighting games, 2D fighting games, oftentimes you will block. Okay, so moving backwards is a defensive decision, right? We're getting out of space, right? Here we're controlling space, and we're getting out of space. The idea is, if you're moving forwards and controlling space, I'm going to move backwards out of it and then hit you. And I'm going to hit your attack, right, as it whiffs in front of me. I'm going to have the other grand hit my hit and punish me swinging at the air, right? And you notice how when I swing at the air, it makes a sound, right? A whiff sound. That's why we call that a whiff when you swing at the air. And when you hit someone swinging at the air, that is a whiff punish, right? So you move out of space, and then you whiff punish. So those are the first two decisions you got to make in a fighting game. All right, doesn't matter about combos, frame traps, 50-50, grab, no. Are we going to move into space by walking or pressing a button, or are we going to move out of space by backing up and blocking?
This is gonna hurt.
Two decisions. Everything comes from either those two decisions or our third decision, which is where we go into another dimension. What is that other dimension? It's up, right? It's up, right? The ground is the x-axis, the up, the jump is the y-axis. So that rounds out our trilogy, our holy trinity of fighting games. Are we going to walk forwards? Are we going to walk backwards? Or are we going to jump? Walking forwards is aggressive and takes action right away. Walking backwards anticipates that action and blows them up for being wrong. Jump brings us to another dimension, and it requires us to kind of add that as a separate idea because it has its own separate things. If I'm putting buttons out and I'm controlling horizontal space, if I jump over that button, well, now I can't control that space anymore. So let's go and talk about the jumps. First of all, we're going to ignore one of them, and that is jump backwards, okay? Jump backwards is just bad. Don't really ever do it unless you like have the corner and you knock them down, right? And then you want to jump back to bait, you know, something on their wake up. But generally speaking, jumping backwards we're going to ignore because it puts you closer to the corner. Remember, our first two decisions are walk forwards and walk backwards. If one guy walks forwards too much and the other guy walks backwards too much, we end up at the corner and somebody loses a lot of health. You only need to get hit twice in the corner to die. That's it. So walking forwards and walking backwards is very important because if you screw up that, you only get to screw it up twice. And think about how many times you got hit leading to the corner. You may not even survive a corner combo if you get touched in the corner. So you got to be very careful about walking forwards and walking backwards. And that's why jump back, you want to use very, very cautiously. Jump forward is evading. Or not jump forward, jump straight up is evading. You can attack, but you can't really attack until you're coming down, right? If I'm in his face and I want to evade, I gotta wait until I throw my attack up here and it doesn't do nothing. I gotta wait till it comes down there, okay? So that is evading. It's more of a variation on walking back, but you're going into another dimension. So jumping up and jumping back, we're gonna kind of not really touch too much upon. Jumping up, think of as an extension to walking backwards. And jumping back, we just don't really want to do unless we have to or we have so much advantage that we can to reposition ourselves faster. Okay, what we're going to talk about for our third part of the Trinity is jumping forward because that goes over controlling space, right? Moving forward gets beat by a jump in, right? Into combo, right? And jumping forward, you see, you cover a lot of ground very quickly. It's moving forward, and it's moving forward fast, and oftentimes with an attack. Okay, so walking backwards can also get beaten by jumping, unless you're gonna go for like a trip guard or something like that to catch them as they land. But oftentimes walking backwards and they jump, now they're right on top of you and they've covered all of that space very, very quickly. That's why this is entering another dimension. This is a third part. So when we add jumping, they are escaping while being aggressive. So you need to be defensive while being attacking. And that means you're going to go for your anti-air, okay? That means you have a move set aside for just jumps, right? I'm going to go for a jump because I've watched enough YouTube videos to know that this is my freaking B&B. This is all of my damage, right? I'm going to do all of that into all of that, right? You've already looked up your combos, okay? So you're already looking for the jump in into the big damage, all right? Now you need to come up with an anti-jump in. Now, every character in this game has a universal anti-jump in move, and that is your down and heavy attack. You see how he swings at the air above him? This move has what is called upward invincibility or upper body invincibility. So even though he stands up, you actually cannot hit the top half of his body. If you do, it'll just go through him and he will hit you instead. Now, it's not completely invincible the whole time, so you do have to time it, but it's a pretty generous amount of upward body invincibility, which means you're invincible to things like jump-ins and overheads and grabs and aerial attacks. Okay, you have a dedicated move for that. Now, if you go into your command list, right, pause in training mode, you go to the character guide, and you go over, you see L1, R1 moves, these menus, go over to basic combos, and you see anti-air combo, right? Counter hit, anti-air combo. All right, let's look at it. Look at it. Bam. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay? That's off of a jump, right? You see he's in the air, okay? And so that's going to be your answer to the jumping. You're going to be jumping in, right? You're already looking for your jumping. And if you think they're going to walk forwards or backwards and they don't have an anti-air loaded, then you're going to go in the jump and you're going to jump for free and you don't care. Okay? But as soon as they throw out the anti-air, now it becomes the three-way guessing game. Because when you do something in a fighting game, fighting games can be considered a quasi-turn-based game, right? If I do this, I'm plus this, you're minus that, it's my turn, I can do, when I get a combo, I get this free move, right? Kind of a turn-based game. So when you commit to one of those decisions, you're locked in, right? If I'm going to move back, I'm moving back, and this is slower than a jump. And also, if he throws a fireball, it's going to follow me. Okay, it's going to chase me down, and I'm going to get put into the corner. If I decide to walk forward, right, I leave myself open to just getting hit in the face as I advance forward. So if I stick out a button, I am committing to that button, and they can punish my button. Everything you do has a commitment from jump, from one of those three choices. Walk forwards, walk backwards, go into the air. Everything, okay? Everything. If you break down every single interaction in every fighting game, we're doing GranBlue right now, but any fighting game, if you break down every interaction, you will see that every correct decision you made and every mistake that you made came down to you guessing wrong in walk forwards, walk backwards, and jump, okay? Think about it. Go back and watch your replays. When you got hit, were you moving forwards, backwards, or jumping? Look at what they did to hit you. And then you can say, all right, he jumped. Walking forwards and backwards was not the option. I should have anti-aired. Okay, and then he got a big combo, carried me to the corner, then he hit the corner combo, ended it with super, I'm dead in two choices. But if I would have made that choice of anti-air, he would not have gotten that damage and he wouldn't have killed me with the second hit. In fact, I probably would have put him in that situation. And you see how the whole match fell apart from one wrong decision. So if you break down every interaction into one of those three things, you will find your mistakes. You will find the counter to your mistake, and you will level up exponentially. And if you want to get down and learn in real time, I'm SoCal Honey Badger. I stream live on twitch.tv/SoCal Honey Badger on Saturdays and Sundays from 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time until 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where I run a GranBlue Fantasy lobby, and I learn a little bit every day, but I teach people how to play fighting games. Specifically right now, we're playing GranBlue, but my longtime viewers know that we cycle through pretty much every fighting game, so if you want to learn from a dedicated fighting game community that specializes in multiple games so that you can transfer from game to game, or if you just want to brush up on your GranBlue Fantasy Versus Rising, this is an excellent game. Be free to join us on twitch.tv. However, do note, you're not invited to the lobbies if you don't talk in chat. We try to foster a positive community based on growth. And while we do talk trash, we do it for the purpose of learning and leveling up. Mockery is a tool for growth with us. And so you gotta talk. Even if you're talking trash, you will be called upon to back it up. But all trash talk comes from a place of learning, knowledge, and education. So even those with an attitude have something that we can teach. But those who are quiet share nothing with the world, and we have no time for those people. So join us on the weekends and level up for some fighting games and get chatty, because we're the Trash Talk Temple, and we taking over everything, y'all.